I have to admit that my preparation for this Yom Kippur morning was unlike any other year. Normally, I fill the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur with introspection and soul-searching. I take time for study and reading. I call friends and try to have important conversations. I search for meaning and inspiration. And I did that. But this year, with the holidays falling so late on our calendar, I had the opportunity to throw something new into the mix. Birthday parties. Not just one, but two. You see, on Sunday, my younger daughter Naomi turned 3, and on Monday, my older daughter Sadie turned 6. I know I could have pushed back the celebrations and not made as big of a deal about them. It's already a busy, my husband might say stressful, time in a rabbinic household. But somehow I just couldn't get the idea out of my head. Something about celebrating their lives during these days of awe seems so fitting. And it's not that bounce houses and dance parties scream holiness. It's that at this time of year, we're called upon to take note of the ways in which we've grown and changed, be it physically, spiritually, or intellectually. And so I wanted to make sure that we stop to do that, to stand in awe and to marvel, and certainly to give thanks for the miracle of their growth. However, a birthday doesn't just give us the chance to reflect on the year that has passed. It also gives us the chance to express our hopes for the future. In fact, it's much like these high holy days. We don't just look back at the person we've been. We must also think of the person we'd like to become. And the same is true for the world around us. We don't only focus on the way the world has been, we must also think about the way that we'd like this world to be. For many of us, though, looking forward and having a vision for the future is so difficult. I realized this as my daughters were blowing out the candles on their cakes. Like many of you have done before, we gathered around them, and before they blew out the candles, we said, "Make a wish." We asked them to close their eyes and think of something that they really want, be it for themselves, their family, their friends, or the world around us. And while it's entirely possible they were making a last-minute plea for Shopkins, it's also possible they were dreaming of something more. Because what is amazing about children is that they have this ability to dream, and they're able to have big dreams. Have you ever asked a child what he or she wants to be when they grow up? They will tell you they want to be an astronaut or an artist, a teacher or a surgeon, an Olympian or the next great pitcher for the Cubs. He or she may even tell you that they're going to be the President of the United States. They don't place limitations on themselves. They can envision amazing, exciting futures. And they're also able to see the world so differently than it currently is. Have you ever asked a child what the clouds look like? They will tell you they see ice cream and castles, while as adults we have to stare forever until we're able to see beyond the amorphous shapes. Have you ever asked a child to draw a picture of the world? There's often sunshine and flowers and little stick people smiling and holding hands. Would your drawing look like that? Probably not. Part of the problem is that as we age, we get so bogged down by the reality of how things are that we're unable to have a vision of how things could be. Of course, at times we need to be realistic. When creating a dream for ourselves, there are certain factors that need to be considered. But I think we've gone beyond practical and have become cynical. When we dream of how our lives or our world could be, we see too many challenges, too many obstacles, and there are people around us who don't understand what we're thinking. I'm sure we've all known someone who was quick to poke holes in our plans. As a result, we start having doubts, and our dreams begin to seem too far out of reach. So we scale back, and at times we even let go of our dreams. I think we are doing ourselves a complete disservice when we do this, because we're not allowing ourselves to reach our potential. This is what these high holy days are all about, trying to reach our potential. We're called upon to work on ourselves so that we can become the best possible version, so that we can do the best possible work to improve the world around us. And I think that it is our dreams and our hopes and our ideals that allow us to do this. We just have to have the courage to keep dreaming. It's what allows us to grow and reach new heights. But I know it's not easy. In his book, Overcoming Life's Obstacles, Rabbi Harold Kushner says that he categorizes people into 3 groups. There are those who dream boldly, even as they realize that a lot of their dreams will not come true. There are those who dream more modestly and fear that even their modest dreams may not be realized. And there are those who are afraid to dream at all. I think we can all probably identify with one of those groups. But how many of us can say that we are the bold dreamers, the ones who are driven by passion and have a clear vision for how we'd like our lives to be? If only we could live this way. The truth is that I think we can. But in order to do so, we must move beyond our fear and our doubt. We must have the courage to put ourselves out there knowing full well that not all of our dreams will come true or turn out the way that we hoped. In the past year, there are so many people among us who have seen their dreams collapse. There have been seemingly promising marriages that have fallen apart. There have been vibrant, active lives that have been changed by health problems and illness. There have been once successful careers that are now fraught with frustration and even termination. And of course, we have lost so many important people in our lives who were so essential to our own dreams. Perhaps the most moving words that I read this year came in the commencement address that Sheryl Sandberg delivered at the University of California, Berkeley graduation. Her remarks were partially based on a Facebook post that she had written a year earlier. Sandberg serves as Facebook's chief operating officer and is the author of the bestseller Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. She also started an organization dedicated to helping women reach their goals and essentially their dreams. Sandberg is certainly qualified to give advice on this, as she has had a successful business career. At the same time, she managed to create a beautiful partnership and family with her husband, Dave Goldberg. In many ways, she was living out her dreams. But last May, she experienced the ultimate death of a dream. She and her husband were in Mexico celebrating a friend's birthday. She went to take a nap while Dave went to work out. She says what followed was the unthinkable, walking into a gym to find him lying on the floor, flying home to tell my children that their father was gone, watching his casket being lowered into the ground. In the days that followed, she grappled with her shock and her grief. She tells a story about those early days. She says, a few weeks after Dave died, I was talking to my friend Phil about a father-son activity that Dave was not here to do. We came up with a plan to fill in for Dave. I cried to him, but I want Dave. Phil put his arm around me and said, option A is not available, so let's just kick or make the best out of option B. I cleaned up the language on that one a bit, but you get the point. Sometimes our lives do not turn out the way that we hoped or dreamed, and at times, whether we want to or not, we have to re-envision our future. We just need to believe that we are strong enough and resilient enough to do this. And we can find inspiration for this in the Torah. I know that Jacob and, of course, Joseph get the credit for being the big dreamers. However, I think that it is Moses who shows us how we can boldly chase after our dreams. When God first appears to Moses and calls upon him to lead our people out of Egypt, Moses is reluctant, but after some time and some encouragement, he rises to the occasion. Moses becomes our fearless leader, and he begins to develop great dreams for the Israelites. He wants to transform us from a group of slaves into a moral nation, into a people who live according to God's laws. But in reality, it's not easy, and he meets many disappointments along the way. The last one being when God gives him the crushing news that he will not be the one to lead the people into the land of Israel. Can you imagine? He had dreamed of seeing this people in their own land, and now he's not going to go with him? Certainly we wouldn't blame him if he became bitter or angry, if he turned his back on the people and completely let go of his dream. But we learn that even at the end of Moses' life, his eyes were undimmed and his natural force unabated. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, the former chief rabbi of the United Kingdom, explains that Moses never lost the vision and high ideals of his youth. He was as passionate at the end as he was at the beginning. His commitment to justice, compassion, liberty, and responsibility was unyielding, despite the many disappointments of his 40 years as a leader. While it was probably difficult for him, he accepts that he will not be the one to guide the Israelites into the land. But I think that he holds on to part of his dream, that the Israelites will become a people living in their own land in peace. Though we have yet to see the completion of this dream, there have been many who have tried to bring it to fruition. This is important because sometimes we need others to help us make our dreams a reality. As you may have heard just prior to Rosh Hashanah, the former Prime Minister and President of Israel, Shimon Peres, died. In the many comments that I read about his life, some of the most poignant came from Peres's friend, the famous author Amos Oz. In his eulogy, Oz said that Peres was a relentless dreamer. He truly believed that peace in Israel was possible. Oz said that originally Peres espoused the popular hawkish or aggressive view, but when he came to the conclusion that peace could not be achieved this way, he adopted a new vision of the path towards peace. He was bold enough to change his views even when there were others who mocked him and ridiculed him. Oz said that in his quest to fulfill his dream, Peres often made mistakes and stumbled many times. But this was only because his eyes were always turned to the stars. He never lost sight of his vision. He boldly dreamed until the end, and this gave him purpose and guided him in his search for peace and his quest to improve the world. Think about what we could accomplish if we were guided by our dreams rather than our fears. Think of the impact we could have if we were brave enough to live our lives in this way. So on this Yom Kippur day, I think we must ask ourselves, what is my vision? What is my dream? Maybe it's large scale. Maybe we will commit ourselves to helping find a peaceful resolution in Israel. Or our dream will be to eradicate the growing anti-Semitism around the world. Perhaps we will focus on issues of hunger, poverty, and illness. Or will we be bold enough to commit ourselves to putting an end to violence, hatred, and racism here in our own country? Last night, Rabbi Lowenstein mentioned that each week at services prior to the Kaddish, we read the names of victims of violence in Cook and Lake counties. He said that when he hears the growing list of names, he feels helpless. I feel that way too, but recently, there was a night when we must have read at least 20 names, from infants to the elderly. And as we read this, I had a moment where I thought to myself, I don't think this is ever going to end. are people ever going to stop killing each other? My own cynicism shocked me. I used to be such an idealist. That's when I realized how necessary it is to have a vision. Because if we cannot even dream of a better world, if we cannot even envision it, then we will not be inspired to work towards it. I think the same is true in our own lives. We have to have a vision of who we want to be in order to become our best selves. We must be able to see that we can be better human beings. Maybe that means striving to be more supportive spouses or more patient parents. Or maybe we will try to get more satisfaction out of our careers or pursue new opportunities. Perhaps we will find hobbies and interests that engage us. We must believe that we can improve upon ourselves, because if we do, I think that we will be able to make a difference in our own lives and the lives around us. So together, let us find ways to dream, and let us encourage one another to do the same, because I think that as we do, we will find many blessings along the way. Often when I am standing beneath the chuppah with a wedding couple, I like to offer the following prayer that I think is fitting for this holy day. I say, may God bless you and keep you. May the sun of many days and years shine upon you. May the love you have for one another grow and hold you close. May the good, true light within you guide you on your way. May all your dreams come true, and when they don't, may new dreams arise in their place. This year, I hope and pray that all of our dreams will come true, but I know that even if they don't, we will be okay, because with each experience, we will learn and we will grow. And we will find that we are resilient enough to create new visions for ourselves, visions that will hopefully motivate us and inspire us to build lives of purpose and meaning. And then I believe one day the world we live in will truly become the world of our dreams. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.